Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Color Authority podcast. This is an exclusive podcast about Milan Design Week happening this week, and in particular about Certosa Initiative. Now, beyond space, architects with a distinct focus on delicate interiors and grand-scale transformations bundled forces with Organization in Design, the makers of Ventura Projects, who were instrumental in breathing new life into rediscovered districts of Milan. Brought together by indeed a deeply shared passion for design, their complementary track records make them a natural match to move the crowds into the up-and-coming Certosa District. Now, in the face of turbulent times and on such a short notice, the team sees itself floated by the sheer energy of the historical momentum of resuscitation and is poised to make Certosa Initiative the talk of the town during 2022 Milan Design Week. I'm going to be talking to two of the founders. One of the first is Remi Versteeg, who is indeed equal parts architect and entrepreneur, and he founded indeed together with Stijn de Weert Beyond Space. Then the other guest is the other founder, who is Margriet Vollenberg. She is an entrepreneur and a professional in the field of design and has over 20 years experience in the design industry. And indeed, she's the founder of Organization in Design. So let's hear why they are going to be the talk of Milan Design Week 2022. Good afternoon, Remi. Good afternoon, Margriet. How are you today? And are you excited for this podcast and Milan Design Week?
Oh, absolutely we are. I mean, my God, it's incredible to be here after 2 years of absence, of course. But you really feel the energy of the city. And we are in June now, so it's incredibly hot, I can say.
Still sweating.
Still sweating. But everything is, well, nearly finished. It's never 100%, but we are there. So we are excited about it, absolutely.
You're ready to run. Yeah, I think last year, September was great, but I think this is the big one, right? This is like everybody's back. The city is full. It's buzzing with people and from all around the world, and it is extremely hot. So I'm not going to keep you too long. I just want to do this interview with you guys because you have a new initiative, which I think is super interesting. Before, however, we're going to dive into your new initiative. I just wanted to do this intro question that I do in all of my podcasts, which is indeed, what is color to you? So maybe we can start with the both of you, or you can decide who wants to answer first. But what is color to you guys, even personally or professionally?
So for me, on a professional level, especially for me, color is a tool. It's a tool to get focused, to get clear what's important, what's not, what you want to highlight, and to create scenographies and make people happy.
To make people happy. I like that. That's very true indeed. And Margriet, what is it for you? What is color to you?
Yeah, I think for me, especially on a personal level, color is very important. I'm not such a black and white person. I think I'm very colorful also in my clothing and the choices that I make. Professionally, I see, working 22 years now in the field of design. For me, it is really part of a tendency. So what is happening, it's part of a trend, what is happening at that time. So we really see, for me, colors mark a period of time almost.
So now I've seen quite the exciting lineup for your exhibition, and the first images are so promising. And that's also why we're doing this podcast, and we're going to go live as soon as I've edited it, because I'm sure everybody wants to hear about it. Can you shortly explain the audience about your new project called Certosa Initiative and how you think you're going to be the talk at Milan Design Week 2022?
Well, yeah, the talk. How do you become the talk? Well, I think you become the talk when you do something that nobody expected. And that's exactly what we did. And the not expecting is even, we surprised ourselves because it's only, what was it? How many weeks ago?
2 months ago.
2 months ago that we started this. So that is crazy.
Yeah. It's so interesting because COVID just ended and there was still a small opportunity to do it. And we noticed everybody wanted to meet again. They wanted to speak each other. They want to show their works, which they are having for 2 months, for 2 years already. So
yeah, it was late February, beginning of March that Remi and I were here in Milan. It was a little bit of a colder day. It was dark because it was 8:00 in the evening, and we were here in the Certosa District. And we said to each other, we have to do it. Yeah, I think we have to do it.
You just did. You're just like, okay, 2 months ago, we need to do something that's new, that's exciting, and we're going to get people back together again.
Yeah. Exactly. We want to give young people, but also the established people, they want to give an opportunity to show them. And we understood that a lot of people had the same urge. And it was so short day, but everybody wanted to go, but there was not in April. So we just took the big step and we said like, okay, let's make this space where we can do it all together. That's why it's also called Certosa Initiative. It's an initiative which everybody joins and everybody gives his piece together, and we just bring it all together. And we are creating the crossovers we would like to see and the different kind of directions people are thinking of.
Yeah, and also very literally, I stayed very well connected with my audiences, so my designers, with which I work since, many, many years. And also for them, it was so important to do something again. And so they requested me, is there something? Will there be something again? And so I was very happy that around March, I could say, yeah, we have this initiative. So come on.
What I wanted to also ask you guys, why are you going to be so different? So what can people really expect that's different from other installation, from other designers, from other initiatives? Why do people really have to come to you guys?
I think it's all about the mixture that we give and the energy that gives to have this mixture, the interdisciplinary crossovers that we bring here. And of course, also saying that now when I'm saying it's not new, it's not completely new, and it's not that it's not seen, but I think the way we put it here is so vibrant and so full of energy that is really what Certosa Initiative stands for.
Yeah, we wanted to be a kind of blank canvas where everybody could put their own ideas and they could bring we wanted to do everything. And I think the salon in Milan, it's, I think, the only fair which kind of has the opportunity for fashion, for design, for architecture, for expressions on what kind you like. And that's exactly that feel which we also saw, which was coming more and more. We want to bring it all together as a kind of mini festival where you can be excited at every corner, and there will be surprises.
There are some of the installations that you guys have, I think, on Instagram. They look very appealing. Can you talk a little bit about some of the projects that you are going to be presenting and some of the designers, just shortly, who you think is going to make people want to come to your initiative?
But I think, first of all, what is great is that we have over 150 designers presenting here in about 70 exhibitions. So that is already an incredible number in also such a short period of time. And the other thing, what really amazed me was that we have exhibitors from Korea, we have exhibitors from Australia, we have exhibitors from Japan, from Brazil. So it is incredible that the world was really ready again. So it's not only Europe, or it's not only, of course, also the Netherlands, we are Dutch, of course, as an initiator. They are very prominent, but it was the world that was waiting for this. Yeah, so what we see, what we really attracted was what I said before, the interdisciplinarity, but also what is new? What did you contemplate about in the past years? And what would you like to let it out now? What would you like to show to the public? And to the international design scene, of course. And the reaction that we got on that was really what gave us energy again to create it further.
So I think one of the great installations we have is of Lambert Kamps. It's an amazing pneumatic installation with light. And it's also because we want to go further more in the evening, where we can have music and food, and people even can go into the nightlife also with temperature. But it also becomes dark, so we have some super nice light installations. Also, of course, we created one ourselves that I think is also special of our collaboration, where Margriet has so much knowledge and experience in the organization. And of course, from Beyond Space, we made 3 big installations before, and Also, a lot of light installations. For example, in 2019, we made a big tunnel with light together with Church the Light in the Museo Diocesano. And this year, we wanted to create or make the venue itself almost as an art installation. Mm-hmm. So what we did here is we had this huge cathedral, we call it. It's a space of 12 meters high, 35 wide and 70 meters long. It's an amazing space. But as architects, when you see this space and when you walk in, you're also a bit feeling small. And if you would only put exhibitors there, and everybody needs his attention, but they will start competing each other. And there will be a lot of senses they're going to try to get. And in the end, it feels a bit like it could feel like a mess. And it's such a shame because you want to give everybody the same like highlights and the spots where they can stand. So what we did was an intervention in the space of 12 huge cubes of cloth, of curtains. They are 9 by 9 by 9 meter. It's easy to say, it's really big.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And in this way, we created, with this installation, we call it, of almost 1,200 square meter. And we really made a squares where all the exhibitors are taking place inside. So you got into the cathedral, you see this big space with all the blocks. And then you go through the first opening inside of these curtains. And then you are inside that exhibition, that room. And the rooms like how the architect Palladio designed the palaces. You would move from the one room to the other. And we use this piece, which the transition from the one room to the other room, as a small reset where you have a new focus and you enter the new room and there you got surprised again. You have focus for the next exhibitors which are presenting their objects or they have their presentation.
That really taps into, indeed, my question that I wanted to ask you guys, because in my opinion, in September last year, there was sort of a color boom. There was more color being used. And I think that also was due to coming out of our homes again, right? Now, I see that some of your works that you've selected, and I'd like to know a little bit about how you've selected designers and artists when it comes to color. Because some of the work, it is very colorful and it's really like candy to the eye, let's call it like that. And others, the absence of color tends to play also the role of silence. Just like you said, there's constantly impulses, stimuli, especially Milan Design Week, we're getting so overwhelmed. How do you think both can live side by side, color and then the non-color?
Yeah, well, they can live side by side. They are here side by side. But I totally agree what you're saying, because I think I also saw those almost two different paths what designers were walking. One of color and the other one of the absence, because what we see, and I think also it is almost like the moment that designers work with nature together, or they work with materials that they, for example, recycle, or they work with material studies, natural coloring, etc., etc. Then you go to these soft tones, earth tones of color, sometimes even almost white or sand colors. And on the other side, we have those, well, let's call it the recycling of plastics, or the recycling of, that are always very almost colorful. Exactly. They're very dramatic. So that is a very great combination what you see here. And for me, it's not that I selected on that. I mean, it's not that I select on color, but exactly as you said, at a certain point that there were these two ways, those two things that were happening. Yeah.
I even want to add a third. Yeah. Because I think you also now see much more material as color. Yeah. Especially now during more sustainability and ecological. So we make use of more pure materials. And then you will see the colors of the nature. And I think that you could even place this as three different kind of directions, which are all, of course, working this together and also enhance each other.
Yeah.
What are you both seeing material use-wise? So you said just natural materials, because obviously we're all thinking about ecological design, innovation in this just perspective. Everybody's thinking about the whole, sustainability. What are you seeing that you think is new?
I think the way that designers dive in those materials and really want to understand them and how how they are reacting. For example, we have this designer that really knows everything about raffia. Remi now is wearing shoes, for example, but also the coloring of raffia. And it's a natural color, it's a natural material. He's making shoes of that material. The soles are natural rubbers. So it's like almost the designers really want to immerse in it to understand it completely. We have this American designer, Abigail, and she is, she dove into the bioplastics and what can it do and how does it react and what if a natural color is added on that. Almost at a certain point when she added natural color, it looked almost unnatural because of the translucent of it. It had a very strange light effect and color effect. I think it is completely different what designers are doing now. They dive into that material research and something else comes out of it. It's different than, for example, a company that has to do something with sustainability because they have to. This is like, the next step, I think.
Yeah. But to go on that part, like we also have, for example, Microsoft, which is a company, they make acoustic spray from old big banners from outside where you have these big balls with advertisements on it. So they crush it again and they just reuse it in a spray. It becomes gray because all the colors together become gray. And it's a kind of very cheap and even natural way of sustainability and reuse, which you're also exhibiting here at Certosa.
Yeah, what I like then, for example, it gets new purpose because of having that spray of pulp paper. You have an acoustic effect in that. So, it's again there when you dive into it, when you look further, and when you experiment with it, you get new results and new possibilities. Yeah.
And that's the surprise effects that you were talking about, right? That's also a surprise because when you're working with a new material in a different way, color maybe comes along naturally, but it's not imposed. Yeah. It's added, maybe perhaps yes, in the end part of the process, but it has more a natural flow, I guess, than what we did for the last couple of years. Do you agree with that?
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think to have a material and then paint it white is quite dishonest, I think. Why aren't we smart enough to use something with the material and the color it has? Yeah. So you can have big surprises.
I personally believe that the role of color is becoming more important, and that's not because I'm a color designer and I work in color, but I do think that it has the power. I mean, you just said it yourself. Color makes people happy. So the power that it can have on people's well-being is something that we've started to see a lot in design as well. Where do you believe color is heading in the world of design and architecture? Even maybe now, what you're showing at Certosa, but even like in the next couple of years, where do you think that's going?
Well, I think the color is going to be much more diverse. I think it's so what I just told about the material as a color, how it's important. But I also have to address, we designed once the boring collection. So my favorite color is boring gray. And a lot of people don't believe gray is a color, but I think it's an awesome color. It's one of the best colors to my opinion again, because it has all the colors in itself. And what's great that you can make a combination, so it matches very well. A lot of colors are also signaling colors, so they are also distracting. I think we should curate the combination of color better. So I think you have a very important job in this sense. But we also should have spots where it's kind of more relaxed and at ease of this combination. And I think we are getting more and more grip on the combinations of color to be able to really the color you want to have that speak, the colors that should kind of shine and show that there are next to colors that are more laid back and are more to the back. And I think this is a trend that we're much more aware of the combinations. As you have the Japanese color book, which you probably know, which is an amazing book where you have all different types of color combinations. I think people are more and more, or I hope that the time is that people are more and more of how they have to combine colors instead of just choosing a few.
I think that's the duality that you're talking about. So expression, very colorful, and then easy on the eye, comfort, being well literally in a space with colors that are not stimulating or overstimulating you too much. I think those worlds are living side by side very much.
I think they need each other.
Yeah.
It's a yin yang.
It's a symbiosis.
Yeah, it's symbiosis.
No, I was just thinking about indeed the Boring collection from Lensveld, which indeed that was something that was disruptive.
Yeah, it's our collection. I designed it personally.
Wow.
I moved. We split at my previous office, so this was one of the projects which was really from my and Stein's hand. So we took it with us to Beyond Space. But we're still creating new pieces as we found out that it's the perfect antidote to these overstimulation. And we're giving people and designers the tools to decide where it's not about, and to give more podium for the colors or the expressions where it should be about.
Yeah, it's about contrast in the end. How has color just generally, I mean, you just said you designed the Boring collection a couple of years ago. How is color influencing your careers, both of your careers, differently from indeed even Certosa Initiative? But how does it influence your choices that you make, the people you work with? Is there a red line in how you tend to work with color?
I think for me as an art director, when I make an exhibition like what we have here at Certosa, I absolutely look at colors of the objects, of the works presented, because I think color is a story. And when you make an exhibition, you are telling a story. So for me, it is very important what happens together. And sometimes that can be full of contrast. Other times they have to work together. So for me, it's something important. But what I said before also, when you asked the introduction question, is it's for me also it's science, a period of time. So what is happening when? I mean, if we think about Memphis, we immediately have those colors in our head. Or if we think about
style,
exactly the style, we immediately have the colors. So it is more than just a trend. It is almost it marks something.
Yeah, it's interesting because exactly as architects are very afraid of color. So I'm of course a graduated architect and also practicing. Yeah. So from the history on, we are creating buildings that should last for 50 years. So that's why the color has a kind of more quicker or shorter span of period. But we're now doing a lot of interiors too. And you see within the interior branch, you already have 5 to 10 years of recycling, and you can look at items which are changed even faster, like furniture. And as we're the multidisciplinary, and we are able to kind of turn the buttons for all these different things. You see that we are also getting more color in our architecture to define exactly what you say. A period of time. Don't be afraid of it, that it's just this moment, and just grab the moment, which is totally fine. In our own work, we are using more, we talked about the material as color. Yeah. So we really like the purity of the material and the combination of that. And we're also more and more trying to highlight objects which we normally want to kind of push away, like, for example, air installations or floors, which we want to make gray or black. In our latest project, we made a full air installation of a nice mint green, and it looks amazing. And suddenly the space was a lot more spacious, because suddenly the ceiling became another design element which we can use. Yeah. And adding to that, we are also launching during Certosa our first project. We worked on it for 5 years. It's a smoke detector. And it's from a frustration where smoke detectors are always ruining space because they are always white and they're always from plastic. And
not very pretty.
No, exactly. Nobody thought it was a need to be pretty. So that's why we are launching Need, because there are equipment we need. And there are 4 the devices, a slow loop, a smoke detector, a Wi-Fi router, and a ventilation. And you can spray them in every color you want, because we made the functional part separate from the outer part. So you can click it off, and you can just, with the spray can, you can make it every color. And so again, this is very important, that we give designers tools to make color essential. Yeah. So we give them the freedom to work with that. And so you have to come and check it out, of course, and then we can create all the colors you like.
Yeah. I think what I would like to add on this is that I think also fashion did a lot for us, also as designers and as architects. And there were, well, that's maybe even 10 years ago, it's not that long ago, we were also a little bit afraid of color.
People are still afraid a little bit. Architects are still a little bit afraid. I mean,
definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. But for example, like I don't want to talk about male, female, etc. But I see now that, and I really like that male designers are really much more into color than, for example, 10 years ago. Yeah. And that is all, that's about fashion that came closer to us. It's about, it has a lot of different, it's because of a lot of different things that it's like that. But it's a very good, we see that in the designs that come out. For example, what you're saying now about needs and about the smoking detector that you can color. I mean, who cared a few years ago? But we do now, and that's very good. I think it's something. Also, when you make a collection, let's say you are a designer and you are designing chairs, and you make a collection of chairs. It's not for now. It's not normal that they become red, yellow, and green. They will. It will be researched and designed as well, and that was different years ago.
Yeah.
I think indeed design is not just more about functionality anymore. Color is not just about functionality anymore. Red, danger, blue, if you want to eat less, blue kitchens, it's just that you're less hungry technically. But, it has a function. It has a color psychology part, but it also enables different sets of emotions in people. And I think that is indeed why we're seeing more color, because there's, after what's been happening over the past 2 years and what's still happening and what's happening with the war in Europe, I think people have a lot of emotions that sometimes indeed, like you said, they need to be toned down by maybe grays and neutrals. And sometimes they just need to express themselves. Do you think you see that now after COVID in the designs that you're seeing? Do you see a difference from, let's say, pre-COVID?
Yes, I see it a lot in the interior design. Also because there was a transition that when we wanted to have everything white, so it was spacious, that it becomes more and more dark again. So people are more kind of creating kind of more coziness and more intimate.
Yeah.
And you see also that also due to, I think, also people were more on their phones and or on their cells and more that they need to be pulled out of that, so that it's much more also about your senses and your expressions you can create. So I think it's going to be, that it needs to have more impact now to show people how the world can look like. And I think before COVID, it was already a bit more like a standard size, and now we're going to kind of show off again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I saw from your website, there are some installations that indeed go beyond shape, color. They tap into multiple senses. You talked about light shows before. Is this, you think, where design is moving? Is this the new innovation, which is really tapping into multiple senses?
It's a new innovation. I find it really big, but I think it's also a very necessary thing. I don't think we talk about one dimension only anymore. We talk about different dimensions, different disciplines, different combinations. Yeah. In fact, for example, the installations of Beyond Space and Boris Arquette, it's about sound, it's about light, it's about shape, it's about volumes, so all the senses are there. But we see that also Creative Chef, for example, you see here with an installation totally white, but it's also about taste. It is about color. Even if it's white, but the color is on your plate. So, there is...
Yeah, and some of perfume. It's about smell.
Yeah.
We should do another installation with Boris and the Creative Chef and some perfume. So we have all 5 senses together, and then we create our 6th sense, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then I think that is completely, for me, it's completely new. And that is maybe also answering the question, what can we see at Certosa Initiative what we cannot see at other places? We have all the senses here. In fact, you have a very good example with some Tales of Perfume. It's about a scent. It's about how does stillness scent? What is the smell of stillness? And if you come into that room and you are there, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Because that's exactly what it is.
People have different reactions, right? Because for me, silence is a different color. It's a different sound. Mm-hmm. Are you tapping into that? What people are sensing when they're going in?
So with the Arcosorb, we built a pyramid over there, which is completely sprayed with acoustic material. So if you need silence, just go into the pyramid. And then you will have complete silence over there because there's no echo or whatsoever. If you go then to some tales of perfume and you close your eyes, you can be in a total different world only because of your smell. If you go to the creative chef to a lunch, and then you're having the taste and you're in a new world. So it shows how important these elements are. And I think exactly what you're saying, I think we're one of the few expositions or initiatives which are combining all these together. Because at the same time, we also have dance performances and we have a fashion show coming up 2 or 3 every day. Yeah. We have DJs coming on the Wednesday on our party. International going to show their art of sound. Yeah. And we have a light show, so you can have everything you want in where you can have an expression. It's over here,
and that I think it's very interesting. I think it started in retail. It started in retail that you would get your, you went to a hairdresser, and at the same time you could also buy a car, and you could do your grocery shopping, and you could also have lunch. But it's interesting that now also is happening also in the design and in art weeks and in design weeks. So you are all encompassing, let's say, as Certosa Initiative. Anything you're looking for, you just go to the Certosa Initiative and you'll find it.
Exactly. We do podcasts, for example.
Exactly.
Live interviews on Thursday.
Live interviews, absolutely. Press conferences. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with all these senses, indeed, you're trying to give people emotions. You want people to come to your event. Obviously, I mean, that's why also we're doing this podcast, why you're doing numbers of interviews, of course. But how do you want people to truly feel when they're, again, leaving your exhibition? What do you want to give them to them?
A life experience. Yeah. Then when amazed, when you go away here, you go back at home, you go to your husband or wife or whatsoever, or your friends, and you have to tell how was Milan, and you will definitely gonna put 3-4 things you've seen here. That's what you want. You want to have I from the past, when all the exhibitions I've been to Venice and to Milan and to New York, and you always have a few of these things where you have the immersive experience almost. And I think these are the things we can remember. Our mind is trained to remember that kind of moments where you're a bit out of your comfort zone and all your senses go on. And I think here it's also with the light installation with Boyos Arquette, which we have every evening. We want to kind of get people like, whoa, what's happening over here? And then from the human body will kind of put on all senses. And then you're vulnerable for that. And then you can get really new stuff in. So when people leave, they've been here, they definitely have a few of these experiences. It could be some tales of perfume, it could be the creative chef. But you will go home with these amazing experiences, which you can get on your phone.
Exactly.
No, people will get home, so they will go home inspired, at least, and with new emotions.
Exactly. They will film it, they will do everything, they will put it on Instagram, but everybody who's been here will remember it much better than when you just see it on your phone.
What about you, Margriet? What do you want to give?
I completely, not so much to add to that. I think what we also, it's also about imagination. I mean, we are a blank canvas. The designers, the exhibitors, they filled it in. This is what it is now. And by having the experience to be here, your imagination starts creating. And that is exactly what I would like to do with the public. I want that they have this experience, start thinking further, give it back again. And then again, you have this dialogue that is just, growing and growing. Okay. So
beautiful.
Let the show begin.
Yes, let the show begin. Just one last question. What's next for you guys after this? I know we still have to start. I'm full aware of that. What is next after Milan?
Okay, now for me, it is a project that I launched here, which is called Join Anew. And with Join Anew, we are creating almost this platform where digitally designers can come together, people from the creative industry, and where they can, together with us, together with Join Anew, they can be helped in their professional business. And we do that with international designers. I launched it 2 years ago in the Netherlands. And here we are in Milan to push the borders and to go further and to do that internationally.
That's you, Margriet. So that's your new project. How about you, Remi?
We will have Art Basel after this on the 16th. So it was quite a tense period. We will have also a spatial intervention for one of the galleries to again make the viewing of the artworks which are presented more interesting. Again, get people their senses to get open, to get a bit anxious sometimes or surprised, let's say positively, to open up and see the new things.
So Art Basel for you, which is like tomorrow, technically.
My partner, Stijn de Weert, he will take that one. So I did this one with Margriet, and I think I hope I still have enough energy to pass by. But I know for sure he can do. He can set up the same high expectations and performances as we do here.
Well, guys, I just want to thank you for your time and I wish you all the best of luck for the press conference today and obviously for the rest of this week. We'll see each other on Thursday and kudos. Yeah, congrats.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Well, see you here. See you in Certosa Initiative.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all for listening to this podcast with Certosa Initiative's founders, Remi and Margriet. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're going to be visiting Certosa Initiative. Please do so, because Thursday, the 9th of June, I'm going to be doing, again, an exclusive live interview at 5 with some of the designers of Certosa Initiative. So make sure that if you're in Milan, that you're going to be there. My next interview is going to be launched in 2 weeks' time, and that's going to be with Sarah Forsmark. Sarah Forsmark is working for Adidas, and we're going to talk about global color visions. So stay tuned and enjoy Milan Design Week.